Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights? Warning. Each episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or of a sexual nature and are for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off the internet or from some television show. These facts I'm retelling were presented to me by the victims of the crime or the perpetrators who committed the crimes. My descriptions of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own 2 eyes. If you are going to get offended, turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. Today, we're going to be doing a continuation on who murdered Courtney Coco. And y'all know I don't use scripts, and this is going to be unedited.
So the lip smacking or heavy breathing or, whatever you may hear, you're just going to have to deal with it. I'm in the room today with all of Courtney's dearest family. Well, I can't say all of them, but I'm in a room today with, some of Courtney's dearest family members, and I'm going to go around and introduce you to them in a minute. I just want to talk to y'all about this and how huge it is that you continue to show the support, lifers, that you've done since we released the episode last week with Miss Stephanie, and Jim and I when she was on the phone. Now, Courtney's case will be 15 years old in less than 3 weeks, y'all. 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. All right. So it's not cold. It's frozen. And Jim Raffman is not going to be with us tonight. We just got off the phone with him, and he certainly will be abreast of everything that's going on. And Jim and I have been working on some things actually every day. And we'll get into that later on. But today I want to introduce y'all to these family members, and then we're going to talk about some certain aspects of the case that we just need to get out of the way. We need to put it to bed, good, bad, or indifferent. But I want to thank each and every one of you. Your response has been overwhelming. It's awesome. Y'all, we started the email, the tip line email, and I forgot to tell y'all this, but I've already gotten people that are sending stuff in, and the email is whomurderedcourtney@gmail.com. And we're going to post it in the show notes, and you'll have it. And it's important, y'all. No, the only silly idea is the idea that you don't come forward with, right? And so we need you. And I didn't know this was called crowdsourcing. Someone, told me about that today. Another lifer did, or not today, yesterday. And so crowdsourcing is when you use the fans to help solve cases. And y'all, we're going to crowdsource the heck out of this. We need you. And somebody out there knows what happened, and somebody out there can come up with an idea to help us break this case. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. Patron members, it's huge. Y'all, we had a huge response from y'all this week, and everybody wants to help in Courtney's case, and we couldn't do it without you. That being said, the close page where for vandalism, tears and up, where the information is being put out, on there this week, the information I'll tell you about at the end of the show, but it's going to be some pretty important stuff, including toxicology reports, autopsy reports, stuff like that. And I put very strict rules in place, y'all. You know it if you're a member of that page. If you violate these rules, we'll be done with you. Okay, we have to respect the privacy of the family, and we don't want the wrong people to get a heads up that we're coming for them. Okay, and also from this point forward, we're talking about Courtney's case. We're going to have people that are people of interest, that we're going to look at. Everybody is going to be looked at until we, can exclude them. And we're no longer going to use any names. But it's not really going to apply today, y'all. But we're not going to use any names on people of interest. We're going to come up with some type of code system, and we'll tell you about that next week. But without further ado, I'm going to tell you, Miss Stephanie is here. Miss Stephanie. Hello. So, y'all, Miss Stephanie is Courtney's mom. And if you listened to the episode last week, you'll recognize the voice, right? So, are you doing okay? I'm doing fine. All right. So we have all your family here, right? Yes, and I didn't know, y'all, that Stephanie and I sat down last week and talked for a long time, but I didn't know at that time what important part the other members of her family have played in Courtney's case. And now I'm going to describe to you what I'm looking at now. Besides these beautiful ladies, I'm looking at a table stacked full of information of 15 years of casework that this family has put together. And, it's impressive, and to say the least. And so they know what they're doing. They have lived this. Miss Stephanie has not been alone. These family members have lived this. They've cried it. They've hurt with it, and they still do every day. And that's why we're doing this, Miss Stephanie. And, so I'm going to introduce everybody else. Miss Lynn, go ahead.
I'm Lynn, and I'm Stephanie's, sister that's 11 months younger than her. And, I'm Courtney's aunt. She called me Nanan. And I'm just really happy to be here and to be part of this. And this is the only thing I can do for her at this point, beside, on the special dates that come by where we try to comfort Stephanie and be there for Stephanie. We are also hurting in our own little corner, but we want to do this for Courtney. We want to be her voice.
And Miss Lynn, you have this is your daughter that's so close in age to Courtney?
My daughter, Candace, and Courtney were 4 months apart. They were baptized on the same day. They made their first Holy Communion together. They actually graduated on the same night, and they were very close. They were both cheerleaders, and so my daughter, Candace, is very, very close with her, along with my other niece, Kayla, who has been very, very close with her too.
And so y'all can't see what I'm saying. And every time Lynn is saying something, all the heads at the table are nodding. They're whispering yes. I guess they're afraid of the voice on the microphone. Very, very strong family unit here. I know it's not easy, but there's a reason we're here. Go.
Okay, my name is Michelle. I'm Stephanie's baby sister, and Courtney was my godchild. She called me Shell, and my daughter is Kayla that Lynn was referring to, and she was 2 years younger than Candace and Courtney, and so they kind of babied her, but still let her hang out with them because they all did cheerleading and gymnastics together. And Kayla always said Courtney may have only been 110 pounds, but she was a firecracker. If anybody tried to mess with Kayla, Courtney always had her back.
Took care of her.
Take care of her Kayla.
Yeah. So really, the cousins and all that.
Yes.
So
the three girls. We always took pictures of them.
You are Courtney's godmother, and Lynn, your husband. I'm looking at
the three
picture of them.
Yeah.
Can I get a copy of this?
Absolutely.
Courtney, Sissy, and Kayla. Beautiful girls. So you're her godmother, and Lynn, your husband is her godfather.
Yes.
And y'all, if you're not Catholic or whatever, that's really, the ultimate sign of respect. You actually, and correct me if I'm wrong about this. If something had happened to Stephanie and her husband and Courtney needed to be cared for, it's godmother and godfather's responsibility to make sure they're raised the right way, et cetera. It's a very important position, and a sign of respect, right? So.
Yes. We would have taken her and raised her right.
Yeah. And next is, Courtney's grandmother. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
My name is Ina Laborde. Excuse me, my voice is quivering.
It's okay, sweetie. Listen, y'all, it's okay to cry and get upset. I mean, this is, 15 years and it's your baby, right?
And it's hard because I look over at Stephanie, I see her pain. I listen to Lynn talk about her and her pain, and my baby girl Michelle and her pain. And then I think about Bobby, Stephanie's husband, who was actually the only father figure in Courtney's life. Bobby never had children, so Courtney was like his. After her daddy died, then Bobby was like the sole daddy there. But Courtney's dad did die at a very young age. She was only 8 when her dad died. But Bobby was big part of her life because he helped teach her how to walk and everything. But anyway, Courtney called me Mama, and that's what all my grandchildren call me, Mama. And Lace, Stephanie's oldest child, is the one that spells it the way it's spelled, M-U-M-U, like a moo-moo. But she would say Mama. So I have kept it that way since Stephanie's oldest daughter named me that. She was the oldest, so I let them call me whatever she wanted. And that's her name for me. So all of my grandkids, to me, are called my baby boys and baby girls. I had 8 grandchildren. I got 7 living. And they're all my baby boys, baby girls. And my great-grandchildren I refer to as my baby boys and baby girls. And this has been a very tough ride. And as the mother of Stephanie, I can honestly tell all of you that right after Courtney died, Stephanie did not want to live. She really didn't want to live. And she would look to me. She wouldn't let me out of her sight. I couldn't get 2 steps from her. And she needed to have her mama. And I tried to give her as much strength and courage as I could. And I never let her see me cry. I never did. When she was crying and hurting, I was always there to be strong for her. But then when I got a chance to get away from her for a few minutes, I would sob. One day, right after Courtney was murdered, there were hundreds of people at Stephanie's house. And y'all, I lovingly have called her Taffy since she was 3 hours old. But her name is Stephanie, and she reminds me of that. But she loves the name Taffy, too. But I walked out of her house, and there were, like I said, hundreds of people everywhere. And that were hearing that Courtney's body had just been identified. And when I walked out of the house, Stephanie looked at me and she said, "Mom, I don't know how to pray." And she really could not pray. So she forgot words to the Our Father. So I knelt in front of her, grabbed her hands and said, "You know what? The devil is a liar. We're going to pray." And I held her hands and we began to pray. And it took some nudging because honestly, I don't even know if Stephanie was even aware of her surroundings at that point. And the minute she found out that Courtney's body was actually the body that was in Beaumont, she fainted. Mm-hmm. And so I immediately hollered to a friend of mine. I know Steph got it a little bit different when she had made her story, but a friend of mine is a nurse. She was there, and I hollered for her. And I got on the floor right next to Stephanie's head, and I kept saying, "You have to come back to Mama. You have to." And she would not respond. And then finally, she uttered real softly, "Mom, Mom." Real, you could barely hear it. And I'm like, "You have to come back to Mama." And she said, "Mom, I'm not as strong as you are." And I said, "Yes, you are. And you have got to come back to Mama." So
remember she started screaming, "I don't want to live. I want to die.
Yeah.
Just let me die. I don't want to live without my child."
She did not want to live. She really did.
She also said even Lazarus was brought back by the Lord in 3
From the
days.
dead.
And so
Right.
God can bring back Courtney. And I'm actually the one that had to deliver her the blow and use, which was the worst.
Yeah.
Was my husband went down to identify the body because he was in law enforcement, and he went down to the crime scene. And I remember she was sitting across the table from me, and we were waiting for the call with all hope in our heart that there had to be a mistake, that it had to be somebody else, that somebody else just had Courtney's ring on it. It wasn't really her. And and my husband called and he said, "It's her." I couldn't even say anything. I just looked at her, and I was like, I'm fixing to give my sister the worst news of her life. God help me, give me the strength. And I had to tell her, "Stephanie,
I think that's
it's her."
You did.
And it's the most horrible thing that I've ever had to do is to tell her to take every ounce of hope from her by telling her it was Courtney, and we had to start planning a funeral. I'll never forget that day as long as I live.
No.
Yeah.
And just to back it up, that very day, at 12 o'clock, I was watching the 12 o'clock news, and I was watching, at the time, the serial killer, Derek Toddley, from Baton Rouge.
Right.
And I was watching on the news, all of his family gathered outside, and they were getting ready to go inside, and I was praying so hard for those people, and I was like, oh my gosh, like the horrendous thing these people are fixing to go through. And my phone rang at 12:15, and all I heard Stephanie say was, I didn't body Courtney ring. That was all I heard, and I said, I'm coming. I didn't know where I was going, but I said, I'm coming, and contacted Michelle to please head straight over to my mom and daddy's house and to please pick them up. Something awful. We didn't know. She didn't know. She couldn't even tell me. We didn't know. We just knew we had to be with her.
I remember calling Bobby, and I remember calling Lace. That's the only two people I remember calling, and I don't even know how I remember their.
You had Lynn on speed dial, and whatever God let you, press the right number, and all she could hear was Courtney body.
Yeah, you were hysterical.
Courtney body. And Lynn just hung up on you at that time, Taffy, and called Shell and told her to come get me and Daddy right away. And so we all beat the detective that called you to, we beat him to your house, and we lived further out than he did. And he was right there at the police station in Ellie, and we were out on 28 East, you know that. And we beat him there, I guess because Michelle is a known fast driver.
Yes.
Anyway, we got there, and honestly, Taffy.
Bobby, you got there first, didn't you?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I want to introduce Mr. Bobby is in the room. It's Courtney's, I wouldn't even say stepdad. Courtney's dad passed, and he raised her. And Mr. Bobby, I saw some pictures of y'all on a motorcycle, a picture of you and Courtney. So, and I get that. I have babies that I've raised that are my step babies, but I won't call them that either. So, and Mr. Bobby is in the room also, y'all, and
I'm Robert Bellbar. She just called me Bobby. I was her stepdad for 18 and a half years.
and in case y'all, I have two mics set up, and I'm not technical, but he said his name's Mr. Robert Belgard, and it was Courtney's stepdad or dad for 18 and a half years. And so a lot of pain in this room, a lot of faith in this room. And, there's a reason we're together, and we're going to try to push forward we have to close, to do something with this, right?
I don't believe in closure. I just believe that God is going to help us through this all, but we will never, ever forget.
Bring her back.
But I have one little story to share, and I've tried to share this with a lot of people. Right after Courtney died, was murdered actually, but I hate to say that word, but it's fact. This friend of mine that was at my house, at Taffy's house with me the day that we got the news that Courtney was in fact identified, and Greg had gone there with 2 officers from APD. And my friend, when I would tell my friend that I could not stand the pain anymore, not about Courtney being murdered, I couldn't. And she kept telling me, Ina, you can do this. And I am a very strong-willed person. But, there comes a time when you see everybody around you crumbling down and you trying to figure a way to hold everybody up. She shared with me that God could take away all of my pain, but the first thing he'd have to do is take away my memories. And I wasn't willing to forego that. So I just decided that I was going to just go through whatever I had to go through, me and my little family, and we were going to make it to the end.
That's powerful, right? So maybe it's not like I said, you never get closure, but maybe we get to the point where we quit wondering who and what happened, and then you can focus on the memories, right? So then one more thing, Miss Ina, I want to talk to you about real quick. Stephanie gave me some photographs from Courtney's funeral that had little verses on it, and they are on the private patron page, y'all. But the verses, you would think, me not knowing, right? I would think you're going to a funeral home and it's a wake and they put a pretty picture of the girl and a Bible verse, but that's not what happened in this case. And I want to tell this because I think it's important. Can you tell us, and the time frame is important, not from a criminal standpoint, but just from an emotional, real.
Well, I had been. This is Mama again. I had been at Angola for a couple of days. I'm their union rep.
Yeah, you were working. You weren't a resident, right?
I wasn't a resident of Angola. I was actually working, and then I came home. And it was the afternoon of the 30th, September 30th. And I got a call from Courtney. And we're like, our first little, hey, BB, how are you? Hey, Mama. And so anyway, I had given to each one of my children and grandchildren, I'd go and deliver the Purpose Driven Life book. I brought that, a notepad, and a little work study book with it. And I said, okay, everybody, my kids, my grandkids, all got one of those books with a little study pamphlet. And I assured them that they could not discuss any of this. They had to read one chapter at a time and jot down their little questions. And then we would get ourselves back together and discuss it. So when I got home that day on the 30th and Courtney called me, she said, Mama, I want to talk to you about chapter 6 of the book. And I said, oh my God, baby, Mama didn't get a chance to read it because I'd been working. And she said, it was cute though, Mama, and you asked us to read one chapter every day and then discuss it. I said, Mama's going to have to beg your forgiveness. I'm going to read it though. She said, okay. And remember, chapter 6 is my favorite chapter so far. So after we were sitting around God trying to plan Courtney's funeral, I remembered, you start trying to remember the last time you talked to someone or saw them, and all of a sudden I could hear her voice saying, Mama, remember chapter 6 is my favorite chapter. And so I asked Daffy or Shell or Lynn, I don't know, one of them to get me the book quick, that I had to see what that chapter was. And this is just a part of it. It says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me my days are numbered and my life is fleeing away. And that's Psalms 39, verse 4. And this last little part is, I am here on earth for just a little while. And that's Psalm 119. Now, we use that as part of Courtney's little obituary thing that they give out at the funeral homes and stuff. And I had told that story on TV because I have very close friends that work for Channel 5. And they wanted me to come by the TV station before I went to the funeral home because they wanted for me to talk about Courtney, my grandbaby. And they met me at the front door when I got there, all the reporters. And so I began to tell them the story about the book. And I had so many of my friends that did come to the funeral home later tell me they had seen that. And they asked me so much about Courtney. Tell us what she was like. And I told them that she talked too fast and that I sometimes would tell her, slow down so my mom can understand. And then I shared so many other things with them about my baby girl. But she was a joy, and I loved her.
I know. It's obvious y'all, how much you all love her, but it's okay. Not a dry eye in the room, but I just thought it was amazing that she told you that on September 30th, and she was murdered just a couple days later. Okay, but anyway, y'all, like I said, it's unscripted and everything, but you've met the family, or not all of them naturally, but you met the ladies and the gentlemen who've been working this case or living this nightmare for 15 years. Now, I'm going to talk about the reason I believe they've been living it for 15 years and it's not been closed. Okay. Now, I don't even know how to really begin it other than to say, I mean, I'm straight up, I'm going to be talking about the police work or lack thereof. And what happened, if you listened last week, is the detective Cedric Green from Alexandria Police Department called Stephanie on the phone and basically told her that Courtney was dead, didn't do it in person. And then at some point later on, he came to the house, etc. And Stephanie said that she never felt like he treated her right, or if she felt like he treated her as a suspect, etc. And other family members have told me the same thing. Everybody here is shaking their head. But at some point, Stephanie they went to the sheriff and asked for help on the case. Now, let me explain to you, and most people don't know this. The sheriff is the highest ranking law enforcement official in a parish. They have the ultimate say-so when it comes to claiming jurisdiction over any type of case. And one of the things most people don't know, and I didn't know this until it actually happened, the sheriff can actually tell the state police to get out of the parish. And so that's how much power they have. But so Stephanie and they went to the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office and the sheriff. You want to tell me what happened?
Well, Sheriff Hilton, who is our present sheriff, I had asked him right before that election, because everywhere we turned with APD, we hit a brick wall. So I guess out of desperation, a friend was running for sheriff, and I thought, I'm going to sit down and give him some information and see if he can help me if he gets elected, because he had been our sheriff before. And so then we met for lunch. I gave him a folder with information about Courtney's case. And he called me the next day and he said, I wonder why no one has been arrested. I said, I don't know. And he said, well, when I become Sheriff, Anna, I promise you that I'm going to assign my 2 best detectives to that case. And I thanked him, and I was so full of hope because I felt like maybe someone was going to listen to us. And
Let me ask some sign. What year was that? Well, I guess the sheriff's elections every 4 years, so that would have been 2006.
I was going to say 2006, but maybe it was 2008.
Well, he was the sheriff when Courtney died.
no, he got elected sheriff after Courtney died. Matter of fact, the election was November, and we had another sheriff then, but William Earl won that race. William Earl Hilton. He won that race, so he took the reins over in.
Hey, y'all. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead, not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner, and we use IXL, and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you're covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend. Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
Swearing in like July 1. So, okay, so that's okay. That's okay. I'm not trying to trick you up. There's a reason. It's okay. It's okay. Y'all, there's a reason I'm telling you about this. All right. Now, this is a fact. There was a Courtney's death certificate, and I'm going to lock it up on the patron page, along with the autopsy report and toxicology, et cetera, which we're about to talk about. It states this case is a homicide. Courtney was murdered. A homicide is an illegal taking of a life. But the case is in Chambers County, Texas. That's the jurisdiction. It happened in Winnie, Texas. There was the detective Rabelais. What was his first name? David Rabelais, who, the family members all are very fond of. He's now retired on medical retirement, but he said he went above and beyond and working. He said he'll never forget about this case. And you know what? That's how it should be. And that's how I've worked every case I ever worked like that, right? And that's how I'm going to work Courtney's case. But let me back up to that. The detective Rabelais came to Alexandria. Now, the reason why we know Courtney was last seen at her residence that she was renting, in Alexandria. We know they had a party there, a Domino's party, et cetera, the night she was murdered or went missing, what have you. So it's probable that, and there's some other issues that go into the reason. So they're looking at some people up here, people of interest up here, but Detective Rabelais comes up and he gets shut down. And we're going to talk about that for a second, and then I'll tell you how ludicrous that is. Who wants to tell me?
He came over to my house, Detective Rabelais, and he, had Courtney's file with him and everything, and he sat at the table and asked us a lot of questions and everything. But he also had been talking to the APD detectives.
APD is Alexandria
Police Department, yes, sir. And he told us, me and my husband were there. Do you remember exactly how he said it?
He said that he was a 17-year
27
detective in Beaumont. He averaged 4 homicides a week. He's worked with other agencies, police agencies, nationally and abroad, and he's never had a police department lie to him and not cooperate until he met APD.
Okay, y'all. So Mr. Bobby just told you, the Detective Rabelais, how many homicides, Mr. Bobby? I'm only saying it because maybe not can hear you.
4 a week.
Right.
17 years.
4 a week for 17 years. And so you have a very experienced investigator who obviously loves what he does. Cause I'm going to tell you something. If you stay in homicide that long without burning out, that's a credit to you right there. And I can tell you about that myself, but he's here and he's getting shut down. Okay. Now even when I was with the state police and I would go out to assist other agencies on their cases, the first thing you do is, out of respect, you show up in the jurisdiction, you go to whatever law enforcement agency it is, tell them who you are. Naturally, they already knew who he was, right? Cedric Green and them did. But he said they absolutely lied to him, shut him down. And what else, Mr. Bobby?
He was wanting to go interview a couple of people that were incarcerated.
And I'm repeating this, y'all, because I don't know if this other mic is picking it up. And Mr. Bobby said that Detective Rabelais said he requested to go interview suspects, not people of interest, but suspects in Courtney's murder. And they told him no.
This was their turf. They wanted to know what that detective was doing here on their turf. Yes, and someone from the sheriff's office must have said that to him because he had gone there. I mean, he's a brother officer. he came from the sheriff's department in Chambers County. And so he came and met with the people at the sheriff's office. And then that's when they got word that they didn't know what he was doing on their turf. I did address that with Chief Cootie. I said, I didn't know this was a turf war. I thought we were trying to work with people to solve Courtney's murder. And we pushed back on that. But I can honestly tell you that Detective Rabelais, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the most compassionate. And he tried so very hard to get the information he needed to solve my grandbaby's crime. And he was denied that.
Okay, so
She mentioned Cootie, that was the chief of the APD.
right, okay, and at
Most
that
agencies pretty much shut it down.
right, so yeah, y'all, this is not speculation. This is fact that was told to them by Detective Rabelais himself. Now, I can tell you, and from assisting other agencies, whether it's towns or cities, et cetera, you know, everybody knows about the blue wall, right? The Brotherhood of Law Enforcement. And why would you shut somebody down and say, what are you doing here on our turf, et cetera? First of all, the death certificate is signed out of Chambers County, Texas. Detective Rabelais is assigned to work this homicide. And he comes up here and they cut him off. My question is why? Okay. So we're going to get more into this as this investigation goes on. But it's not right. And let me fast forward just a little bit.
I was going to say, he told us he had never been treated so unprofessionally ever in his life, in all of his work, like never.
There was jurisdiction issues from the very beginning, and all the articles that came out of Texas. There was,
a year later,
they always was mentioning jurisdiction issues.
Okay. All right. So we'll get more into it, y'all, later on, but this is going to segue into the next part, which is at some point the family goes, you heard, the grandmother state, they get the sheriff, the newly elected sheriff, and he puts his two best guys on it. And it goes on, obviously, like I told y'all earlier, this big long table I'm looking at with all this case file information, all these work these ladies and this gentleman have done for Courtney, timelines. Just, you couldn't believe what I'm looking at, right? So they give all this to, Detective Isles. And how do you spell that? ISLES. So I don't say it incorrectly. Detective Isles with the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office, who is assigned to Courtney's case. Now, with last week when I was talking with Stephanie, she had called the day before and some days before that trying to get Courtney's class ring, which is what they use to identify our body, and trying to get an update on what's going on the case. And she got the runaround basically, and nobody would call her back. And actually, I think it was a week and a half you started with the calls. But while I was there, she had told me about talking to him again the day before. And I said, well, you know what? Why don't you call them now? Let's see what they have to say. And Miss Stephanie actually recorded this phone conversation, and I want you to listen to it. I'm going to play it. It's off a recorder that she had, and I'm going to play it. The audio may not be the best, but this is Miss Stephanie talking to Detective Isles about Courtney's case and where they are. And it's just really something. And then we're going to talk about it when we get done. So y'all bear with me 1 second. Turn the volume up. And this would be the first time y'all have heard this. But, and you're going to hear me talking to Stephanie while she's on the phone with him at some points because I have questions about things that Detective Al is saying, and I'm actually hitting Stephanie's mute button and saying, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" So, again, y'all, this is unedited, so here it is.
I want whatever I can get out of my daughter's case file. He says, "Why?" I said, "Because I want it."
Well, I just talked to him.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Mims?
Phillips.
Okay, let me call him back. Because they told me he was in
That's
a...
right. And say you're supposed to call me back yesterday.
It's the last number I got, so here it is.
Yeah, I want everything that's not classified.
Not classified.
He says it's private. They're easy. Ask him when he gets more.
Criminal records, can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. Is Detective Phillips out of his meeting yet?
I don't know.
I'll pause it for 1 second. They had told you didn't know it was Phillips and Isles were on the case?
And Mims.
Right.
There was 2 people that they told me, detectives, that I would have to talk to about getting Courtney's ring. And I didn't know who these people were. They mentioned a Mims and a Phillips or Phelps or something. And so I kept trying over and over to call them, and I never could get them to call me back. So then I said, "Is this the same office that Detective Isles is in?" And they said yes. And I said, "Well, then is he here?" Okay, this is Stephanie Belgard. Could you check for me, please?
Well, I can't check. I can send you to him. We don't work in the same office.
Okay, well, could you get me over?
Transfer you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll transfer you to him.
Okay.
Just a second.
Okay,
And
thank
I guess if he doesn't answer, then that just means he's not in there, and you just have to, call back.
Okay, what about Detective Isles?
Though.
What about Detective Isles? Is he in the same office also?
Yeah.
Okay, because
I can tell if they're in their office. I can just give you their number. Let me give you Phil's number. That way, if you have to call back, it'll go directly to him.
Yes, ma'am. I'd appreciate that. I'm ready.
Okay, it's 473-6712.
Wait, 473-62?
No, 6712.
Oh, 6712. Okay. Okay, and that's directly
And
to
I'll
Phillips.
Yeah, I'll transfer you, but if you have to call back, you can call him directly at that number.
Okay, and Mr. Isles, would he be reached at that same number also?
No, his would be 473-6648.
6648. Okay, I sure appreciate you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm going to transfer you now.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Huh?
He's the one that told me, Doc. This is Detective Phillips.
Again, y'all, any whispering you hear us, Stephanie and I talking while we're waiting on the phone call to pick up.
He's the one that said about the house call.
I said, I'm fixing to call this man in. Yes, ma'am. Is Detective Phillips in?
Hold on, ma'am.
Okay.
And again, it's unedited, unscripted. You're hearing it as it happened, y'all. So hold on. It's all right. You can hear Stephanie and I talking in the background while we're waiting on them to pick up the phone. Okay, y'all, again, we apologize for the delay, but it's unedited, unscripted. You're getting it just like Stephanie recorded it. Believe me, it's important. You're going to want to hear it. How do you spell it? I-L-E-S. Detective I-L-E-S. Well, I guess we might could edit this part out, right? So I didn't remember it taking this long. Yeah, that's right, because we were talking. You're right. Seems like somebody would have picked back up by now.
Yes, ma'am. I was holding for Detective Phillips. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, babe.
There you go. Your tax dollars at work.
Lieutenant Mims, this is Stephanie Belgard. Again. I had talked to you earlier. Do you know when you may be able to get me that case ID number or?
I don't have a number yet, but I checked with our property guys, and we don't have any physical evidence. We don't have any property regarding the case. That will be all with APD or state police.
Okay, well, the APD told me they gave y'all everything. So, so I guess I need to start back with them because Detective Isles is on this case, and I
just spoke with Detective Isles, and he said that we don't have any physical evidence at all. We don't have any property regarding this case.
Okay, well, is Detective Isles in where I could talk to him and?
Well, he's having lunch. Let me check. Hold on.
Okay.
That is Stephanie and I whispering in the background, y'all, waiting on Detective Isles to get on the phone.
Detective Isles?
Hey, Mr. Isles?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Stephanie Belgard.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm just kind of touching base with you. You know, our 15-year mark is coming up, and I'm just wanting to know what the status of Courtney's case is.
Okay. The status is the same. It is still open. I would say that we followed up on every lead that's coming up there, and you have everything that I have, and it's still an open case, Ms. Belgard.
Okay. I had talked to Mr. Mims and had asked him about maybe getting Courtney's ring. And So he said he's got to go to the warehouse and get that for me, and also he was going to get me a case ID. I don't even have a case ID on Courtney's case, but I really would like to get her graduation ring. I mean, y'all used it for, and he also told me something that was a little bit baffling to me.
Let me stop you there. Okay, we do not have any property from that case.
Okay.
Okay. When we started this was just started from the open end. When you came to us, we came to sheriff to help out. APD still has all of that. The Texas has all of that. We don't have any of Courtney's property.
Texas has nothing of Courtney's, and Mr. Alls, I have a copy of when we turned in her phone. We brought it to Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office, and or maybe it was APD that has her phone, her actual phone, and the items that were taken from her house. I mean, how can they do testing on them or DNA or anything on them if y'all don't even have them? I mean, I don't understand how y'all can work an investigation when y'all don't have anything other than the leads that we gave y'all.
Okay, because that's all I could have to go on, because they won't release any of the property to me. It's an Alexandria Police Department case. They won't give me any of the physical property. What I had to go on was actually the information that you came to me to my office, and then we started from there, looking backwards. But we did not collect any evidence from the Alexandria Police Department in reference to this case. None of the physical evidence.
Okay, so you're telling me that Alexandria Police Department has they have her case, they're working it? Or they just have her stuff?
We never took the case from them.
Okay. Well, Mr. Alls, I thought you were the lead detective on Courtney's case.
I am the lead detective with the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office, because you came to the sheriff and asked for us to assist in it.
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't have authority to take it from the Alexandria Police Department. They still had the original case file. They still had all the original property from the case. I started from scratch with the notes y'all got and started working it from our angle. But I've never taken it from them.
Okay, well, do I need to talk to the chief about that, or, who do I need to talk to?
Okay.
Jared King?
I would talk to Jared King about any property that you have that APD may still have.
Well, I have a whole list of things that they took from Courtney's house.
Yes, ma'am. And APD still has that. We don't have any of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Also, second question. That toxicology report that Stephen Norman did. Did you ever?
Actually do that was the actual toxicology was done by Texas.
Okay. Well,
the report itself,
yes, sir,
was actually as far as was an opinion by Dr. Norman.
Okay. His
opinion. The toxicology is done and the results of the toxicology with the stuff in the system,
yes,
was done by Texas.
Okay, because I just, I told you I didn't buy it, and I wasn't. That just wasn't satisfying to me. But I'm just kind of really confused on why would they even do a second toxicology report when there was never any mention from anybody that gave us tips or anything. Nobody ever said Courtney was drunk.
I can explain that to you directly, Miss Stephanie, is that I called over there to Texas and said, okay, what do since, was there anything still over there that y'all had, or anything else? and Texas looked at it and says, okay, we still have her blood. We still have some of her blood. And I says, okay, can we rework that to make sure that we didn't miss nothing with either today's technology or, what we have? Can we just rerun it and redo everything? So they took the blood and did a reworkup, and that's when the results of that came up. Why that didn't show up on the first one?
Yes, sir.
It may be it may be clerical error. I don't know.
I do believe.
I can't tell you the difference why the first one said that what it did and why the second one said no. This is what this did.
Okay. Because Mr. Isles, I know you. There was French fries in her stomach, and if she would have drank that much alcohol and took that much pills or whatever, she would have thrown up, and there wouldn't have been anything in her stomach. And I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I can figure that out.
Ma'am, but I would be cautious about saying what you think she should have done or what should have happened. Okay, as far as maybe she should have thrown up or she shouldn't have thrown up, because then we're getting back into the guessing game.
Okay.
And, I understand what you're trying to say. Okay, but I can't take that. We can't take that as 100% possible that she should have threw up or she should have not done this.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you this. You had said that y'all had called Texas and asked about, anything they might have had. Do they still have her? I mean, is that blood? Is that her DNA? I mean, the DNA that they put into the CODIS system what was that? Blood? Because now they have a familial DNA blood test that you can do, and it's a new technology, and you can do, and it will, hook you up to like cousins or brothers or an uncle or, so I mean, if y'all went through the task of testing her blood, why not redo her DNA and test that and see if it any more match, a match or anything?
Okay. You're talking about the DNA that was left at the scene.
Yes, sir.
As far as not her blood. Because I mean, we know her blood came from her. That's not going to show anything. But you're talking about the DNA that was collected.
Yes. Well,
where they sent it to the lab where they got inconclusive backs. Yes.
Right. Okay. Because there was the only DNA they had was DNA that was mixed with Courtney's blood. Mm-hmm. It was mixed, so it was both DNAs. Okay. On the trunk latch, what I was told.
That was from the original crime lab reports.
Yes,
Let me check and see if that was either Texas or us, and we can look into from doing that.
The familial DNA.
Come up with. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just I start getting this just.
It was on the trunk latch.
It was on the DNA that was on the trunk latch. That's what we're talking about, right? Okay. Because it had to, somebody, if it was mixed with Courtney's, then they had to be present there at that time. So,
well, I mean, again, that's you're doing an assumption.
Sir, that's all I have to go on.
I know that. I'm just saying that. When you're saying that they have to be there together at the same time. And
yes,
technically, no, that's not the case.
Okay.
Can DNA get mixed for one person leaving it there and then somebody come in afterwards with the subject not there and mixing it? It is possible.
Okay.
But we can definitely look into at the DNA again. See what we can come up with, because we're actually having some success on some other cold cases in reference to that type of DNA profile.
Okay, because I know the second blood test that y'all did. What year did y'all do that in?
I gotta go back and look, but it's right there within months when I talked to you.
Okay, well, then okay, because I'm going to, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we just redid it then.
Because how do I know?
That before.
Well, how do I know that that wasn't like contaminated, or it could have been switched in a lab and mislabeled? I can't buy that. And not one person in any of this investigation, not one single soul has ever said that Courtney was drunk or high, except for Jackie saying that they rode around smoking pot. She's the only person that said, and pot didn't even show up in her system. So it seems like if she would have had all that in her system, somebody would have said she was drunk or high or something. And no, not one single soul has ever said that. In all these witnesses.
No, ma'am, they haven't.
No. So, I mean, all of a sudden this blood test shows all this when nobody's ever even... And if somebody would to have OD'd, why would you even want to move the body? Why not just leave it there and walk out the room and close the door? And why even...
And we're also assuming, and then again, you're assuming that happened at her house.
Yes, sir.
We don't know that for sure.
Well...
We don't know if that happened in a vehicle on the way out of town or not.
Well, her house was roped off by y'all for 18 days before she could...
Of course, ma'am. Of course, she was found dead in Texas. They did not know where the crime scene was originally from. And I'll be honest with you, we still don't.
Yes, sir.
We don't know if she was either taken, murdered, or even from her house. We don't know if the house was part of the crime scene or not. APD does not know that either.
Well, I can just about bet that it was because her comforter was missing. And her robe. And her robe was like what she slept in every night.
Mm-hmm.
So, and for that never to be found, that shows me she was at her house.
Okay. Well, I'm just not telling you, I can't say that for certain. I'm not saying that those aren't exactly characteristics that she was taken from her house, because that is. But when you're saying, I just can't tell you 100% she was taken from her house. Nobody knows that.
Yes, sir. That's true. Okay, well, Mr.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it, and it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something. And all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference God will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
I'm trying to get her case number, and I want to get her ring.
First autopsy report had no drugs in it by everyone.
Okay. Okay.
12 years later, right?
Hello? Okay, yes, sir. I'm sorry. My phone keeps cutting out. I guess someone's trying to text me. But I'm just so concerned over that first toxicology report, the coroner's report, everything. There was no indication of nothing but a little small, minute amount of alcohol in her blood because of decomposition.
Okay.
And so 12 years later, I just don't understand how this could be like all this in her system. I mean, that's almost like saying the first man that did this didn't know what he was doing. I mean, why even retest her blood? I don't understand why
they retested her blood at our request. They just did not do that. We requested that.
Okay.
Because it was just sitting there. And like you said, 12 years later, technology is better.
Yes, sir. Well, have you ever got a profile off of her DNA, Mr. Alls, like a male?
When you say her DNA, you're talking about the DNA?
The DNA found on the latch of the trunk.
The profile? No, ma'am.
Okay, because I thought at one time you had told us that it was, I don't know if I remembered correctly, but like it was a black male, but I don't know.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so y'all don't even know the profile of the DNA?
No, ma'am.
Okay, because...
Well, I'm glad you called, so we can definitely look back.
So the DNA is never matched against any items taken
look at
from
the
our
DNA
house.
again and see what we can do now.
Okay.
And we'll pull up and see whether or not our lab or Texas has it.
Okay.
And see if we can't look at doing with today's new technology, see if we can't pull something else up.
Yes, sir. Well, so if y'all don't even have the profile on the DNA, then how was any of the items taken from her house, like the Coke cans, cigarette butts, beer cans, dominoes? How could y'all match up anything DNA off any of that stuff with the DNA that y'all have if y'all don't even know a profile on it?
Okay. We haven't matched the any of the DNA profile or anything that was collected with anyone.
So all these people that were there at her house must have been choir people or something, because none of them's ever been in any kind of trouble.
You're asking me about a crime scene, ma'am, that was done 13 years before I started even on the case.
Yes, sir, but you're in charge now, Mr. Alls. Who else am I going to talk to?
I'm not trying to get off the phone with you, Miss Stephanie. All I'm saying is APD is not giving me anything.
Well, I'm going to take care of that today.
Okay, and they're still, I'm sure, actively, but even the reports I got from APD, I got from Texas.
They're not actively working anything, Mr. Oz. I feel like nobody is actively working anything. Nobody.
Okay. Ma'am, I've followed up every lead that y'all sent my way or that I found out. I'm glad you called so I'll look at the DNA again.
Have him look at it yourself, let him know.
But to tell you why the blood did not show any drugs with a 13 years difference, I can't answer that question. When I asked their lab that, they couldn't answer it either.
Okay, well, I just know that
one way screwed up.
Yeah, something's not right.
And they were pretty positive that it wasn't the current way.
So I've researched a lot of things, and I've never known where they've retested someone's toxicology report from the initial one.
Okay. So take the investigation to your own hands.
Okay. Well, what I think I'm going to do, Detective Isles, is I'm going to take this investigation into my own hands and see if I can get somebody that will actively work her case, because I feel like nothing is being done. Every time I call, you're in training or you're there, and now you're telling me you don't even have Courtney's stuff, the stuff that they took from her house. And
ma'am, I've never had that stuff. I've never told y'all I've had that stuff.
No, sir, but why wouldn't you not have that if you're her lead detective?
Ma'am, you came to the sheriff wanting him to look into it, and the sheriff says, okay, we will look into it. So it goes down to me to work the case. But that does not give me any legal authority to take it away from the Alexander Police Department. So when we contacted Alex for even the case files, okay, they did not cooperate as far as giving us anything.
Okay.
It was an so we started from the very beginning, from your notes. We went over to Texas. We followed up every lead that we could. We scrapped together anything that we could have, and we began working it from a 13-year disadvantage. But we did not get any of her property. The reports I do have from Alexander Police Department, I got from Texas.
Okay. Well, I know that they, from day one, never cooperated with Texas other than to go down there and identify her body. And pretty much, I had a detective that was coming from Texas, and he said he had never been, in his 27 years of police work, had never been turned down by a police agency before in his life other than APD. And so I just, so now you're telling me they're still.
I spoke with that guy.
Okay. Yes. And so if I get any information now, or if I needed to send anyone to get information on Courtney's case, you're telling me I need to send them to Alexander Police Department.
Ma'am, am I actively working the case? Yes. I'm just saying that I'm not the sole person who can take it away from the Alexander Police Department. And I'm not saying Alexander wouldn't follow up on a new lead. I'm not trying to, paint APD in a bad light to you.
Okay.
I don't know who's actively working, if anyone. Last time I heard, it was Foshi was working it through the Alexander Police Department.
Foshi? He hasn't been on this case in years. I haven't even talked to this man in years. David Foshi? David Foshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. No. I haven't even talked to this man. The last time I talked to him, we was in a room in APD with a group of detectives. He was just sitting in. He was on the tail end of it. And so now that's my lead detective at APD.
Now, I'm not saying that I would not look into anything you see, because I've looked in on everything that you've mentioned to me, from Texas to Monroe and back, everywhere. Okay, I follow up on every lead that y'all either sent my way, and I try to do as much as I can.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Alls, let me just ask you this. If I had an investigator that I wanted to send and talk to someone, would it be you or would it be APD?
APD has the original case, yes, ma'am. Everything I have is from y'all, from what I've scrounged up on.
So I need to call David Fauché. And I'm going to call him.
I'm saying that we've never taken a case from the Alexandria Police Department.
This is just baffling to me, because it's taken me, if I wouldn't have called you just today, I would not even know this. This is just really baffling.
Well, we've talked about this before, that we will start from the beginning with this case. But
no, sir.
I've told you this before, that we have not gotten anything from the Alexandria Police Department.
No, sir. If you would have told me those same exact words before, I would have been on the phone.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You've never told me that, Mr. Alls. Never.
Okay.
No, sir. I would have been demanding them to do something or send you everything, because I had faith in you. I have faith in you. And I would have demanded that them give you everything that you would have needed had I known this. So now that I know, I'm taking another avenue. And I'm going to get on the phone and try to get in touch with Mr. Fauché and tell him that you told me that's who was the last you heard was the lead detective.
Okay. Now, like I said, that's the last I've heard was the lead detective.
Well, if you're the lead detective with RPSO, wouldn't you know who the other detective is in APD? I mean, wouldn't y'all be together comparing notes, or?
Ma'am, I did not get anything from the Alexandria Police Department. I was told that Detective Fauché was working it, and I did not get nothing from Detective Fauché.
Okay. Well, I'm going to find out about all that here in just a little while. Okay. Well, I thank you for your time, Mr. Alls. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all, listen. It's very important. And I know I have a room full of really upset people, family members here, as they should be, because they just heard that conversation for the first time. But I need to just get my thoughts out, y'all, real quick before I lose them. Number one, before we even talk about the toxicology report, you heard Detective Isles state unequivocally several times that he could not get anything from Alexandria Police Department. Numerous times he said Alexandria Police Department refused to give me anything. Now, you tell me why the sheriff's office can't get any cooperation from a local jurisdiction police department on a homicide, on a murder case. They refused. He stated, Detective Isles stated, he said, ma'am, the only evidence I've ever gotten in this case came from you and your family, or what I got from Texas, from the sheriff's office in Texas. Alexandria PD refused to give me anything, and he said it numerous times. And I'm telling you, it's just bad business. Now, here's the deal. This toxicology report, we're only going to talk about it for a second because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the death certificate says Courtney was murdered. It's a homicide. But what happened was, when they did the original autopsy, a forensic pathologist did it in Beaumont, Texas, and during the autopsy, they draw blood and they send it off to the lab for the work and for, narcotics or anything else. So that forensic pathologist has custody over Courtney's body. Now, y'all have heard me in the past talk about when you open the body bag, it's sealed. It has a lock with an identifying tag on it. It's a chain of custody. It is everything in these cases. So Courtney's body goes from that warehouse in Winnie to when they would have bagged right on the scene, locked and sealed the bag. goes to wherever they do the autopsy, and we have the original autopsy report. Hold on, y'all. There's a train coming by. Give me about 2 seconds. I just wanted the train to blow it off. But so the forensic pathologist takes the chain of custody of Courtney's body. He cuts open the thing. It's videotape or pictures are taken of it. Chain of custody is maintained. This is huge. It's a homicide. They draw the blood. It's sealed. It's sent to the lab. All done by standard operating procedures. This is not fly by the seat stuff here. This is done by professionals. They have guidelines that they have to follow. And you know why? Because of defense attorneys. If they mess it up, then they know they're going to lose it in court. And every rule that is in any handbook, whether it's an employee handbook or a guidelines for a pathologist or whatever, every rule is there because somebody screwed something up at some point and they figured out, you know what, to stop this from happening again, we need a rule. So this pathologist follows the rules, sends it in the blood, comes back with a very trace amount of alcohol in the system, whether she had a drink or whether it's body decomposed and it caused it, I don't know. But that's your deal. That's your chain of custody. We know that chain of custody is good. And I'm going to be uploading it to the closed patron page. Y'all go look at it. We know that chain of custody is good. Now, what happened is, I told y'all this last week, a couple years ago, Miss Stephanie contacted me about looking at Courtney's case. And when I told her I would do it, but I needed case file information, she went in with family members and met with Detective Isles. And when she told them that I was coming, he was like, no, you don't want any outside people, et cetera. Miss Stephanie, I'm going to let you tell this part. I'm going to turn this mic back up.
Okay. We were actually sitting in this same building we're sitting here now, and Detective Isles met with the family, and I told him about you, and I told him I was thinking of having someone else come in and look at Courtney's case with a new set of eyes, and he completely, I shot that down. He was like, you don't know anything about this man. You know, there's a lot of people out there that, you know, try to get involved, and you don't know anything about this man. More or less let it go.
And so what happens after that is, I don't want to use the word magically, because I don't think Detective Isles is a bad guy. I think he's got a what I would have called an acute political emergency, an ape. But magically, they call to Texas and supposedly get Courtney's blood retested 12 or 13 years after the fact, after they know someone's coming from outside to work the case. And lo and behold, here is a new toxicology report that they produced to the family, and basically brought him in and said, if I had to classify this death today, it would be an overdose. So let me tell you what was in the toxicology report. And you know, you can get the specifics of the numbers off the patron page. But the deal is, they said she had a huge amount of tramadol, which is a narcotic. When last week I said it's not a narcotic, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it's not Schedule 2, but it's the Schedule 3 narcotic pain reliever. And a huge amount of alcohol. And that was something else that we got wrong last week. I said 9 times, or Miss Stephanie said 9 times, and it was 4 times what the legal limit is. And now the rest of the United States of America, your legal limit was at the time 0.08. In Louisiana, it was still 0.01. They changed that sometime in that time frame. But now it comes back that it had, an obscene amount of tramadol, 4 times the legal limit, which means you're dead. If we stopped somebody on the street and they blew past a point 03, you had to call an ambulance to take them to the hospital immediately because they were on death's door. Technically, what I was taught at the 4 point or the 0.4, you're dead. So, and again, the original autopsy, she had, food in her stomach, French fries and bubble gum, et cetera, showed she had eaten within 2 hours of being murdered. So to sum it up, and I think this thing even said it had MDMA, which is the commonly street term ecstasy. It had everything but Jesus in her, is what this report said. And no, it didn't say marijuana. But I had some lifers out there who I've sent this information to that are pathologists, ER nurses, phlebotomists, however you say the person who draws blood, a couple of them, and they absolutely say no way for a multitude of reasons. But here's the deal. It's a very, very touchy subject for the family, and I get that. We are going to continue to look into this as we go on and get the information from the case file from Texas, because obviously we're not going to get it from Alexandria PD. If Rapid Sheriff's Office couldn't do it, but we're going to put that to bed for now. All right. Whatever the toxicology report, me personally, I'm going with the doctor, the forensic pathologist that had the chain of custody of Courtney's body and did the initial blood test, not somebody who called back 12 and a half years later and said, can you run that blood? But it's very convenient that they run a blood toxicology for Courtney, but yet you heard Detective Isles state that they have not run the DNA, which was mixed with Courtney's DNA, which was found on the latch of the trunk of the vehicle where her body was stored, probably, and this is hard to hear, and I'm sitting with the family, probably for those 2 days in the heat, because her body showed advanced signs of decomposition when they found her. And, that's in the autopsy report. It's undisputed. So the blood or the DNA that was on the handle of the trunk when they took her body out, and she was nude from the waist down. They posed her legs open in what I would call a sexually degrading manner, that I've worked on some cases in the past. And they put the body where it could be seen in this abandoned warehouse. Now, listen to me. If you didn't know if they would have moved it 2 feet to either side, there's no way they'd ever found Courtney's body. Not for a long, long time. But a pipe worker or somebody, a worker that was there near that property on that Monday morning saw her, because they posed her for her to be seen. Now, and to pose somebody in that manner is absolutely 1000% to degrade them. It also could be sending a message to other people. But let me back, I'm getting off track. Her body was collected from there, taken in, the original chain of custody established and controlled, et cetera. 12 years later, they don't call in. After they come in, the family comes in and says, you know what, we're going to bring in our own people. Nothing's getting done. This new toxicology report shows up, and they try to tell the family it's an overdose. If we had to classify it today, it would be an overdose. Y'all, listen to this. They even went so far as to get a local pathologist to read this new toxicology report, and he just absolutely said Courtney had, basically it was an overdose, junkie type situation, etc. And he never saw Courtney. He's never seen the blood. He doesn't know anything about the chain of custody or anything else. Why would you go that far to do this, to get some local pathologist to give you an opinion on it? And with that, I'm not going to say any more about it, because I could go on about it for hours, and these ladies here are furious, as they should be. But you know what? Again, I don't think Detective Isles is a bad guy. I really don't. I think he got handed this acute political emergency because this family went to the sheriff, and the sheriff's, you heard the grandmother say, the sheriff said, why hadn't anybody been arrested for this? Right. But his guys go to Alexandria PD, who took all kinds of evidence from the house, which I'm putting that on the closed patron page. It's going to be a list of all the items they took from the house. All of them could have been DNA tested. Cigarette butts, beer cans, Dr. Pepper cans, etc., clothing. And Alexandria PD has done nothing. I can't wait to get my hands on the Texas file to see if they even turn that over to Texas. Because remember, Detective Rabelais comes to town hoping to get some assistance and interviewing suspects that are locked up in jail that he's got information on, and Alexandria Police Department shut him down. So this toxicology thing, I'm putting it to bed for now, y'all. But you go read it. The original toxicology report's going to be on the page. The new toxicology report's going to be on the page. It will come back up in this investigation, and when it does, we will address it accordingly. But until that time, we don't need to talk about it a whole lot more. Now, I want you lifers to do it. I want you to look at it, read it, send me your ideas. I know you're professionals out there in that field, and even you lay people who don't know anything about a toxicology report might have some good ideas, and we need them, y'all. We got to have your help. Now, it's just so much information and so much to it and so much emotion in this room where I'm sitting right now. But we're doing the right thing, and we can do it with y'all's help. Again, back to Detective Isles. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he got handed a bum rap. His hands are tied behind his back. He made that point clear that Alexandria PD refused to give him anything. Everything he got from the family, or because he had to request it from the sheriff's office in Texas because he got stonewalled by Alexandria PD. Alexandria PD, I'm going to call. I'm calling next week. I'm going to be in town. I'm coming to see you. I want to talk to somebody. And if you want to talk to me, I'm going to give more than help. I'd be more than happy to give you your chance to tell why you would not cooperate with the lead homicide detective from Texas on the case. And you wouldn't even cooperate with your own sheriff's office detectives who have been asked to look at the case. It's got to be a reason, right? So, hey, we'll be fair. Tell me your side. I'll be more than happy to record it. And ladies, I know it's been emotional, and I know everybody has something they could say. We could do this all night, but putting the toxicology thing to the side, Detective Isles to the side, Stephanie, I think that was a great piece of, information you record in that phone call. And, you know, y'all, just so you know, as long as one person that's a party of the conversation in the state of Louisiana is recording it, they give permission, then it's legal. So nothing illegal was done there. And so, that's it. Everything you've heard has been unscripted and raw. Y'all, the audio, I won't have any idea what it's going to sound like until we play it back. I know we're blessed to use this building, and there's an ice machine in the back or whatever. Hopefully Cindy can edit some of that stuff out. But it is what it is. I apologize about the sound quality, et cetera, but you have the facts now, and that's what's important. And we'll get better as we go along. I don't really know what else to say. Y'all want to say anything in closing, or you just want to leave it?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Woody.
No, don't thank me.
And Mr. Jim for actually.
I want to thank the fans, the lifers for responding, and I have goosebumps. So you really don't have to thank me. I'm in it to win it to the end now for life, and hopefully, y'all, the goal of this investigative series is not to bash Detective Isles. It's not to bash Alexandria PD. It's not to do any of that, right? But the goal is to push this case forward. It's frozen. We want to thaw it out. Then we want to make it hot. You know what? 15 years. And I mean, the familiar DNA and all these things that have come up, if they haven't worked, or if they worked a DNA profile and entered into CODIS off of Courtney's stuff, would you think it'd be important to match that if we could match that to the items that were taken from our house, right? Give the case legs. And there are all kinds of things that can happen in this case, but I just think it's kind of been out of sight, out of mind. Now, you bet your ass, and that's the first time I've cursed tonight, that if it was one of these people's family members, it wouldn't have gone cold. Okay. And they'd have got cooperation. They'd have came and picked them up in a limo at the airport and chauffeured them around and fed them and everything else. But that's hindsight's 2020. We need you lifers. We need you to get fired up. Courtney is so beautiful, y'all. She does deserve answers, but she's so beautiful. I finally put a picture of her yesterday on the regular crew page so y'all could see her. But there's a whole lot more on the private page, but just so young, so full of life, and she was murdered, and somebody's got to answer for it. So y'all use the email. It will be in the show notes. You're doing this. You heard the family's pain. And it's real. I mean, it just doesn't imagine if it was your kids. Imagine if it was your best friend. That's your first cousin. I mean, let's do this. And we've got to speak for Courtney now. All right. And it is what it is. And so anybody, y'all, we're scratching the tip of the iceberg on this. I'm personally going to be doing a reward guarantee myself. We'll talk about that next week, that I'm going to put up. If you call in and you give information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the murder or murderers of Courtney Coco, Woody Overton is going to put up a significant amount himself. The family has some also, but I'm also going to be getting donations or at least promises from other business people and stuff that I'm going to reach out to. We're going to make this a big reward fund, and maybe that'll get the loose lips to open up also. So let's do it. And I love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all, ladies. Yeah. Thank you.
And all the supporters.
Yeah. That's y'all. That's
yes.
huge.
Supporters just on behalf of our family. Like, I feel like you guys are sitting at this table with us with all this paperwork. I feel like you're going to go through this with all of this paperwork. Yes. And then I feel your passion. I've read your comments, and my heart is beating outside my chest for the love you have for Courtney and how you want to help us. And I thank you as her aunt, and on behalf of our family, from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so very much. Yes.
So that's it. And I mean, I got goosebumps, y'all. I didn't get any more real than that. You listen to the other true crime podcasts and stuff, and it's about cases that, you can Google and all that. This is real life and real crime. And I'm your host, Woody Overton. And till next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder by You. Thanks. Peace.
Case Remains is a true crime podcast dedicated to missing persons and unsolved mysteries. Join me, Beth, every 2 weeks as we delve into some of the lesser-known unsolved cases from around the world. Until next time, stay safe.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during questioning. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.